Okay, I've been doing a little bit of maintenance on the Spider. I've been having issues with the cruise control. It worked fine, and one day it didn't work, and I noticed that if I turn the steering wheel like 90 degrees, it would come on when I click the on off, but when I turn it back, the control wouldn't work anymore. And with a little bit of research, I realized that it was the clock spring, which sits here. Of course, you can see I have all this tore apart. And come to find out, the clock spring is rather expensive. This thing is almost $400 because I have the SMT, which has the paddle shift buttons in the steering wheel, so it's much more expensive. So I took this thing apart. This is what's inside here. These rollers. I did mark. I put marks on everything to make sure I got everything lined back up. And what I find in here, if you can see that, some more light in it. Yeah, you can see that just fine. That right there, that is broken connection. And it looks like the coating was chafed off. You can see that roller there. It's got that extra little bit right there. None of the other ones have. And then where this is looped, this loops around this one roller. If you look real close, right there, get this in focus, that's the bit that rubbed off of there. So believe it or not, this has failure mode. Otherwise there's nothing else wrong with this part. So I'm going to attempt to take this thing apart and maybe fix this connection so maybe my cruise control will work again and I won't have to spend 400 bucks. So if this video makes it out there, then I must have been successful. So here we go. It's definitely broken connection. I don't know how I'm going to fix this. This needs to slip through that wheel and everything. I could solder it, maybe. If I get a glob of anything on it, it's going to catch right there. I could try to coat it with a piece of clear Scotch tape. If I go soldering on this and put some heat in there to melt this thing, it'll be all over. My thoughts here is I'm going to use this vise to hold a socket, and I'm going to wrap the ribbon around the socket to use it as a heat sink, because if I go soldering on this and I put too much heat in that plastic ribbon, it's going to melt it and deform it, and then it won't work at all, and I might as well throw it in the garbage. So this is my attempt to solder this. I don't know how successful I'm going to be. I'm going to be real gentle. I'm only going to touch it for a second or two each time, and try to get these two pieces of copper to solder together without leaving a big glob. Okay, now watch me ruin this thing with this soldering iron. Okay, well, I think I got it soldered. Not too much damage. It's relatively smooth. Let me see if I got contact. And so it's I'm gonna figure this one out. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one from the left. That one. Okay, on this end,
I wouldn't be disappointed with any artist that wins that, but I still think Metallica should win it. I mean, they had the most successful year last year for any rock artist. I mean, they sold more than 1.8 million albums. Having one of the most successful years of Metallica's career, as a matter of fact. So, they got my vote. Listen, you can find out all about our 2018 iHeartRadio Music Awards, which are going to be live on Sunday, March 11th at the Forum in Los Angeles. They broadcast live on TBS, TNT, and True TV.
and I have continuity. Imagine that.
You can even vote on some of the categories. Coming up here in the next block of rock, I'm giving away tickets to the sold out
this
Black
tape.
Label Society show at Bogart.
I don't know if this is going to work or not. Now, move this around a little bit to while I still have continuity. Yeah, there is. Huh? Let me put this all back together, and then we'll see what happens. Kinda tricky. This is definitely not for the faint of heart. Let me see if I still got continuity. That'd be a good thing to check. I've wallered it all over the place. Just so you know, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing and seeing if it works. Okay, well, I'm gonna maybe hit that lightly with some fine sandpaper. Just to reduce some of the abrasion of that little solder bead I put on there. And don't feel bad there. Okay. Well, that ain't gonna work because this thing's greased. It'll stick, but not very good. Have to get some alcohol. Yeah, now let's see what happens. Here, now it's sticking. Okay. And the reason why I'm not just putting tape over that one spot is because this thing rolls back and forth inside there, and I don't want it to catch the end of the tape and wad it up. So I'm taping the whole thing. Make sure you don't have any wrinkles in this, because I believe that would be bad. Okay, it should be far enough. There. That should help for any future abrasion and help this spot from abrading any further. Okay, now reassemble this friggin' thing. Let's see, that's the top. This goes around like so. And this goes in here. Like that. Okay. Yeah, wait. I need to grease this. Some silicone grease. I'm just gonna take a dab of this and run it on the ribbon here. Because this had this on this when I took it apart. That's why I'm doing this. There's grease on there. And do both sides. Okay. Alright, now I put it together. Okay, remember the one that's different, that's the one that goes over the loop. You know, I'm gonna add a little dab of grease right there. Right in that roller. On both sides. Just a dab. Okay. On marks up. Stick this thing in here. Okay, so put this part on next. Okay. Now this can go in. There, like that. That's it. Okay. There's this little clip here. Slides that back in here. This little tab was bent. So to take this apart, there's all these little tabs. Just pry all them little tabs up gently. Don't break them. See, I took these 4 tabs loose first. I just pushed pressure down, then undid these 4 tabs, pulled the center part out. First thing I did was mark everything to keep it all in line. And then you see, pull these 4, push these 4 tabs out, center comes out, and there's all these tabs around the perimeter of this. Push those out, and then that's how it comes apart. And then, sorry I didn't get any video of taking the steering wheel apart. I'll get some video of putting that back together, and it's all pretty straightforward. The only thing I had to have was a steering wheel puller or harmonic balancer pullers, basically the same thing, to get the steering wheel off of the shaft. But I'll get some video of putting the steering wheel back together, put this in, and steering wheel and all the dash panel back together on video, and taking it apart will just be reverse of the installation. There's a little clip that goes in right here. You gotta make sure you snap that in. I'm not gonna do that just yet. Make sure your steering wheel's straight before you start this. That way you can put your steering wheel back on straight. And there's this little orange tab in here. Get her pliers. This little orange piece in here is there when you buy, if you buy a new one of these, it'll be holding it together so that it won't move during installation. So I just reused a piece of it to do the same thing. I just flipped it over because it would hold in there tighter. So now I'm just flipping it back the way it was and shoving it down in there. Like that. So now this should turn. Okay. And reinstall the nut. Make sure it's straight. This nut is a 19 millimeter. There we go. Okay, now plug the connectors back in. Now the airbag has these two screw holes in it which go in from underneath here, and I had to remove, or not remove, but loosen this cover on the back side of the steering wheel to get the screws out. So to put this back in, and plug the connector back in. How does this go? And unplug the battery. Just unhook it all together when you go to do this, because you don't want this airbag going off in your face. That'd be bad. Plug that back in there. Set this back in. Okay, now I want to turn the wheel upside down to get to these screw holes. These are Torx. I believe this is the T20. I believe. It's a T20 or a T25, something like that. But it is a Torx. I guess this is going to be easier said than done. Oops. There's one of them. This is tricky, I have to admit. Getting this all back together. Oh well, someone's pulling in. Be right back. Alright, let's get back to this. There's two screws that go in the back of this. There's a plastic cover back here, and you gotta turn a wheel like this to get to one of them. And a stubby screwdriver. Just to get the other one. Okay. Now snap this back into place. That. Now this can go back on. That. This back on. There's 2 screws that go in this way. And these are Phillips screws here. And then one underneath down here. Flashlight at. Okay, that's pretty much it. Okay, I got my battery reconnected. Let's see if everything's doing what it's supposed to do. We're looking for airbag warning lights. I'm going to be looking to see, okay, the horn still works. Cruise control. Hey, my cruise control works. Very cool. Very cool. Alright, let me see if the paddle shifters are working. Yep, those are working. Okay. I think I fixed it. It's going to start the engine. Nice, got cruise control back. And I didn't spend $400. And that's just for the part, that's not to pay someone to install that. Sweet. Everything's working. Good deal. Good deal. Well, that's it for now. That's how I fixed my clock spring to fix the cruise, to get the cruise control working again. Like I said, you will need a steering wheel puller. There's plenty of videos online about how to pull a steering wheel. This is no different than any of those. The screws that hold the airbag in, they were a pain to get out. I had to undo this plastic in the back of the steering wheel to get the screws loose enough to get this out of there. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward as far as that goes. Make sure you disconnect the battery before you go messing with that airbag. And thanks for watching.